Well, hi, Alexia.
Hello, my dear.
It's so
Good
good to see you and be able to spend time with you talking about Wild Goose and things going on in our lives.
Right.
So first of all, you have been to Wild Goose a lot.
Yes,
I feel like, have you been every year? I feel like you've been...
I've been lots of years.
I feel like...
I don't know. I haven't kept track.
Like, I don't even know.
Years. Since it was completely in another location.
Okay,
Yeah.
So I think maybe you have been here from the beginning.
I might have been here since the beginning.
And so I'd love to know why you come back.
Okay.
When I talked to Larisha, I just point blank asked her, why do you come to the woods with, you know, a bunch of spiritual seekers, hippies, and frankly, a lot of white people. And like, you know, some people who are in different places in their justice journey and their spiritual journey. And, you know, so that can bring a lot of things with it. So why do you show up here?
Yeah, I have several different reasons. And one of them, I was thinking about the quote from Barack Obama when he was in Iowa. Maybe he wasn't in Iowa. I'm trying to remember where he was. But they said to him, you know, why are you willing to talk to the Iranians? And he said, if you want to make peace, you have to talk to your opponents. You don't talk to the people who agree with you to make peace, right? I mean, I know in the work that I do with immigration that we don't have a broad enough coalition that cares. That's the bottom line. And the church has a critical role to play because we are the institution mandated to care about everyone. So, you know, we need to lead the way across a very broad spectrum. And where else am I going to meet these folks? Honestly. Yeah. And the people here are progressive. You know, they may not know much about the issues and the people that I care about, but they're open. But they've invited me, Mickey. This has been the beginning. They have invited me back home, where I can talk to people who do not know my people, who do not know the children that are hurting, who do not know the families that are being torn apart, and I can make that connection with them, and it's critically important to me. So that would be one answer. The other answer is. It has to do with a young woman named Thalia, who was part of my daughter's posse growing up in school. And she's Latinx, and she came out as queer, I think 4 or 5 years ago, like at the age of 21. And she was rejected by her evangelical Pentecostal Latinx family. And it was about a month before Wild Goose, and I said, come with me. And she met me here. She was actually staying with a relative in North Carolina. She met me here, and I saw her the second day, and she was just shining. She was just shining. She was like, I feel whole here.
Oh.
And then I was really committed to saying, okay, we have to diversify this place because our Thalias have nowhere to go. Yeah. So, you know, we need to make this a place where they can come because Thalia was so excited to be in a place where people were Christians and loved her that she just ignored that it was mostly white. Yeah. Not who she was or who she'd been raised to be. She's, you know, Central American. So I thought, oh no, we really have to change it. But then I realized that actually it was really hard to build that bridge. A number of us tried, and for a variety of reasons it was just really hard. And some of what was really hard about it was that, actually ironically, I became a Christian in the Jesus movement. I actually come from a family that is not a believing family. My mother's family is from Russia, my father's from Mexico. But they're from the socialist anti-church traditions in those places. So, you know, I really met Christ in the Jesus movement, and it was a movement of hippies, and I was a hippie at the time. So, you know, someone the other day called me an OH, and I was like, yeah, I am so that. Okay.
So Wild Goose resonates with you on the hippie front.
It's nostalgic for me. Yeah. But when I brought some of our folks here to check this out, saying you have to come because this might be a place for our young people to be safe, and they were like, no. Like culturally, like, no. And I do understand that. It is the hippie universe is a very distinct culture, and it was always, you know, there were always people of color in it, but it was always primarily white. Yeah. So I gave up a little on that I think that, that people find their way to Wild Goose if they need it. our people find their way if they need it. And I'm very glad to be helpful in that. And also, I think it's a challenge to us and an inspiration that we do need to create those spaces for our young people.
Yeah.
And I don't know yet what form that will take. And I don't have a lot of bandwidth at the moment.
Yeah.
Given what's been going on at the border for a while, I don't have a lot of bandwidth. But I just trust that the Holy Spirit will move people to do it.
Yeah. So
and just saying, just on a very personal level, it is nostalgic for me to be in a hippie. Somebody said to me, "Oh, you're going to that hippie evangelical space." I was like, "Yes, I am." Yes, I so am.
Well, I always wanted to run away to Japuza, Jesus People USA. Before we know what we know now, I always wanted to run away to that. When I found out what it was as a teenager, a young adult, because I just love the idea of really being community with each other, sharing everything we have, the whole
no, that's so wonderful,
vision,
loosey-goosey,
right?
sort of
And
lovey-dovey. I just love it. I love, I'm a dancer. I've been, I always say that if that really all I'm part of something, a national thing where people are pretty well known, and there was a point where they were asking us about what we wanted to do when we grew up. And everybody else was like, "Oh, I wanted to be the new Martin Luther King Jr. I wanted to be the new Cesar Chavez. I wanted to be," and I was like, "Man, all I wanted to do was dance.
Yeah,
that was all I wanted to do."
Yeah.
I became everything else that I am because I became a Christian in the Jesus movement, and they didn't approve of professional dancing. And so the church I was in, and they didn't think it was the best use of your time as a Christian. And so I did other things that I'm very happy to have done. But this is a place where I can just hippie dance.
Yes.
I can just wander around dancing. So good.
Well, and one of the things I've learned from you in learning organizing is something as I say all the time is that I believe in partying as a key organizing strategy.
Yeah, I'm a Goldman, right? I'm not coming to the revolution if I can't dance.
Yeah,
right?
We have to actually, what you teach us when we take your trainings often is okay, we're going to have a cultural night. We're going to have a night where we dance and sing and are together and have fun together.
Yes,
and that we have to have
in Latin
that.
America and the work that we did in the Philippines. I was part of the pro-democracy movement, as you know, against the Marcos dictatorship, and we never did anything without a cultural night.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just part of how the movements work in Latin America and
So this, I feel like when we have festivals, we get together for 3 or 4 days and say, okay, we're going to have, yes, we're going to learn things together.
Right.
We might have, sessions that are really heavy and we're going to learn, and we're going to have silent disco. We're going to have times where
I love
we
that
can
silent disco
get together.
That was so cool.
Fun.
So cool. Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely.
So, we have to wrap up, but I would love for you to tell us a little bit about your work and what you're doing right now, and if there's a particular thing that you want people to know about. I mean, I know you're doing a ton of stuff around immigration, and I think it's one of those things where people can kind of get a little deer in headlights and not know what to do next, because it feels like there are so many things and so little things.
Yeah, we're under constant siege right now. I think that there are two aspects of the worst part of what's going on that are a gift to us or an opportunity. One of them is, I think we've always had a battle in the immigrant rights movement. I think we've always had a battle between the people who say we have to make compromises in order to win, and the people who say, no, we're not making any compromises even if we don't win. I mean, that's the simplest way to put it. And those divisions have been horrible. They've really kept us sometimes from moving forward. And I feel like it's so clear now to me, and I think to so many of us, that we have to build a deeper, broader coalition in order to win. And so by the time we have that, we'll be able to win something better than if we'd made a quick compromise.
Yeah.
But what I feel about that is that this is the other gift, which is the only way to build that coalition is to arrive at a more profound racial justice in the church. That because, the non-immigrant folks don't engage in a sustained and intense way because it's not their problem. And so they don't have enough passion, even if they have sporadic interest, even if they see a child in a cage and for the moment they're moved with compassion. I actually had someone in a church the other day say, I want to send soap. It was like, yeah, I see that you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, but not sustained passion, right? Because it's not their problem. And then people in the immigrant churches feel like there's just no hope. Yeah. And so that the lack of hope drains people. But when we work together, you have this interchange of hope and passion that can actually sustain activism. But you have to work together as peers. It has to be a just relationship. So the work that I'm most excited about that we're doing right now is building that just relationship. Wow. Doing accompaniment in a way that really engages and centers immigrant churches. And we're doing it just in all these different ways. And it changes who the hero is. Yeah. And that's what we need, man. That's the medicine we need. So the end result and the process are the same medicine. Yeah. So I have more joy in the process than I normally might because of that. Because every time I see that shift happen, I know we're going in the direction that we have to go to really win. Even though the reality, from what I can see, is I'm going to be Moses. I'm going to look into the promised land, and I won't live long enough to get there. And that's sad for me. Yeah. Although I've been having a voice in my head lately a lot saying, do you believe what you say you believe? Do you believe? Like, if you believe what you say you believe, you're going to see it. You'll just be somewhere else. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, what am I saying? I have to have a better living hope. Yeah. Because I really do. One of my regular interactions with God is that Jesus says exactly that to me. So, do you really believe what you just said? Yeah. Because if you do, these are the implications. So, yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, I feel like every generation has its work to do. Yeah. And, you may not get to see it, but you may see something that is the work of your generation. The other part that I actually realized that I left out that's so important, Mickey, when you say that is the work that we're actually doing of creating this just relationship is not just immigrant and non-immigrant together. It's the puentes. It's the bilingual, bicultural, millennial, Latinx folks that are actually building the bridge. Puente means bridge. Yeah. And by building that bridge, that is such a profound healing for them. Yeah. It's so profound because they're on the margins of both worlds, but they're at the center of the partnership. And it's just, I had this young moment, this is what I would end with. We did a just immersion, which was really interesting and fun, that we took people across the border. Yeah. And we had each little bus, we used little buses, and each little bus was led by a puente. And then we didn't just go to see the horror stories. We went to see the Mexican churches who, with loaves and fishes, are like doing this work, and to hear their stories and hear about the power of their work. And there was a young white woman who's a leader in the church who was in line with me to cross the border coming back, and she said, you changed the hero for me today. Wow. You changed who the hero was. But then the young woman who is 20 years old, who was leading her bus, I was sharing the story later with a group of them, the Puentes, and she said, I've never seen myself as a hero before. So I was like, amen, I can die now. That changed who the hero was for both of them. Yes. And that's incredible. Well, that's the work. If we did that nationally, we'd be out of this horrible crisis. Yeah. Right? So I feel like the process is creating in small, but we then have to scale up. And that's amen. I'll take my joy in that wherever I can. Yeah. Even though I'm also very stressed, and I do have to say that the other thing about Wild Goose is that it's really nice to be outside, wandering around in nature. In nature. In beautiful nature. Yeah. Barely any cell service, maybe none, and you just have to unplug a little bit. Yeah. So it's just and also just again on a small level, the healing of being with people in Appalachia and saying they're us. We have more in common than separates us, and that feeling of the potential to become us really matters. Well, thank you so much for spending time with me here. I always take every moment I can get with you, so even doing it on camera is great. Yeah. So I forgot about the camera. Oh, good. That's perfect.